There are things we carry in silence, things we tuck away in the quietest corners of ourselves, behind the everyday smiles and the ordinary conversations and the perfectly normal way we move through the world as if everything is fine, as if nothing is hidden, as if the surface of us is the whole of us. We become very good at this, all of us, in our own ways. We learn early that not everything that lives inside us is meant to be spoken aloud, that some things are too tender or too complicated or too enormous to simply hand over to another person without knowing whether they have the hands strong enough to hold them. And so we keep them. We guard them. We carry them alone through the long corridors of our days and pretend that the weight is nothing, that we are not tired, that everything you see is everything there is. But love has a way of loosening the grip on what we hold too tightly. Love has a way of making the silence feel less like protection and more like distance. And distance, when it grows between two people who genuinely care for each other, becomes its own kind of ache, its own quiet emergency. There comes a moment always when the cost of hiding becomes greater than the fear of being seen. When keeping the secret feels lonelier than the risk of letting it go. When you realize that the person standing in front of you deserves more than the carefully edited version of who you are, that they deserve the uncut, unfiltered, whole and complicated truth of you. This is that moment for me. I hid something from you, my love, and I need you to understand before I say another word, that the hiding was never about dishonesty. It was never about a lack of trust in you or a desire to deceive or a belief that you could not handle what I was carrying. It was about fear, pure simple human fear. The fear that if you saw this particular thing, this piece of me I had kept so carefully out of sight, you might look at me differently, you might love me less, you might step back even slightly, even involuntarily, and that slight stepping back would be enough to undo me entirely. Because when you love someone the way I love you, the thought of losing even a fraction of how they see you is terrifying enough to justify almost any silence. So I stayed quiet, I smiled when I needed to smile, I answered the questions you asked and carefully avoided the ones I was afraid you might ask. I became skilled at the art of partial truth, which is its own form of lying. I know that I have always known that. Partial truth is the version of yourself you present when you are too afraid to present all of yourself. It is the highlight reel when someone deserves the whole film. And you, of all people, have always deserved the whole film. You have always deserved every scene, even the unflattering ones, even the ones shot in bad lighting with no music to make them feel meaningful. You deserved the real thing. And I gave you a version that was true but not complete, and I have carried the weight of that incompleteness for longer than you know. Let me go back to the beginning, because this story does not start where you might think it starts. It starts in a place inside me that existed long before you came into my life, a place shaped by experiences that taught me certain things about vulnerability and what happens when you offer it to people who are not careful with it. I learned early, in ways that left marks I did not always know how to name, that being fully known was a dangerous thing. That when you let someone see all of you, you hand them something they can use against you. That openness is a beautiful idea that the world has a habit of punishing in practice, and so I built walls. Not the dramatic kind you read about, not the cold or hostile kind that announces itself and dares you to try. Mine were the polite kind, the charming kind.